These pillars dates back 11,600 years. It appears to be purposely buried at the same time of the Younger Dryas climate catastrophe. This is fascinating.
In southeastern Turkey stands Göbekli Tepe, a monument more than 12,000 years old, older than the pyramids, and older than history itself. From a distance, it may seem like any other ancient ruin, but as you move closer, the mystery deepens. Massive stone pillars, carved with intricate figures of animals, celestial patterns, and human forms, reveal a language long forgotten, one that has puzzled archaeologists for decades. Now, artificial intelligence has entered the search for answers, scanning these carvings in ways no human eye ever could. What do they truly mean? Who built them, and why? Could these symbols hold a message meant to reshape our understanding of civilization itself? What the AI discovered is truly shocking. Let's find out. Discovery of a forgotten civilization. Before we jump right into everything AI has to say about Göbekli Tepe and what it means for the future of mankind, let's explore the mystery of this ancient structure and how it came to be. Sitting atop a hill in southeastern Turkey is Göbekli Tepe, an archaeological breakthrough that changed the way we perceive early human societies forever. Although there isn't an exact date to go by, radiocarbon dating places Göbekli Tepe's construction between 9,600 and 8,200 BCE, making it older than Stonehenge and the Great Pyramid by millennia. It was first uncovered in the 1990s by German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt and his team. Propelled by the potential discovery of a monumental structure, Klaus and his team soon began excavations, and what they discovered would change the way we perceive early humans forever. The excavations led the researchers to several massive circular enclosures, each defined by towering T-shaped limestone pillars, weighing up to 20 tons. What was even more fascinating was that these structures were built by hunter-gatherers in a time when technology is believed to have been non-existent. It just didn't make sense. How could such a structure exist in a period before simpler things like agriculture, pottery, or even writing? We'll get into some of the theories later in the video, but if there's one undeniable thing, it's that the complexity of these structures implied a collective effort, planning, and social coordination far beyond hunter-gatherer norms. Instead of domestic remnants, roof supports, hearths, trash pits, or tools, Göbekli Tepe surprisingly shows only open-air enclosures, animal carvings, and ritual paraphernalia. No evidence of farming or settlement activity was discovered. To many, this reinforced the theory that it served primarily as a ceremonial or ritual site. But let's shift our focus to the pillars, because while the structure itself is already impressive, it's what's written on it that holds all the answers. The pillars, richly decorated with deeply carved images, scorpions, vultures, foxes, snakes, wild boars, and abstract forms, completely stunned archaeologists. For decades, they wondered and even debated their meaning. Were they totemic markers, seasonal records, mythological stories, or just the carvings of a people who loved art? No one could answer these questions, and the absence of a written script from that period made things much harder to figure out. One of the most debated motifs appears on the vulture stone, where a vulture hovers above a headless human figure, which some researchers believe was likely a symbolic message rather than entertainment. Still, no one could answer the pressing questions about the meanings behind these sculptures. But times have changed. With the creation of advanced artificial intelligence and now the cutting-edge field of quantum AI, researchers finally have a tool powerful enough to tackle an age-old mystery. Why quantum AI? Unlike traditional AI, quantum AI can process unimaginable amounts of data simultaneously, spotting patterns hidden in chaos. Its analysis brought precision, the ability to scan each carving in microscopic detail map its spatial relationship to every other symbol, and cross-reference those findings against vast cultural and astronomical databases. And the results? They were unexpected. The carvings seem to follow a deliberate sequence, forming what may be the earliest form of symbolic writing known to humanity. According to the AI, the scorpion stands for death, the vulture represents a rise toward the heavens, the sun disk embodies divine energy or enlightenment, and the headless man symbolizes a journey of transformation. But where does this journey lead? We can't say for sure, perhaps into another dimension. When you bring all these symbols together, they weave a story about death, rebirth, and the endless cycles of the cosmos. Mind-blowing, right? Even more fascinating, the AI also found that several pillars align perfectly with celestial markers, matching the positions of certain constellations at sunrise on key dates more than 12,000 years ago. These alignments imply that Göbekli Tepe's creators weren't just master craftsmen, but also sophisticated astronomers who tracked the precession of the equinoxes, the slow, graceful wobble of Earth's axis, with unbelievable precision. That entire precession cycle takes about 25,920 years to complete. And here's the eerie part. The AI suggested that the carvings might encode a warning connected to this cosmic cycle, possibly hinting at cataclysmic events from a forgotten past. If that's true, it completely changes the story of human history. How? Because if early Neolithic hunter-gatherers understood such complex astronomical movements, it challenges the usual timeline that says advanced science only appeared after farming in cities. Quantum AI hints that the people of Göbekli Tepe could have inherited their knowledge from an even older civilization, perhaps the last survivors of a lost world trying desperately to protect their wisdom before it disappeared forever. Even more astonishing, one of the strangest discoveries wasn't in the carvings themselves, but in their sequence. The deeper the archaeologists dig, the older the stones become. And surprisingly, the craftsmanship improves. The edges grow sharper, the proportions more perfect, and the animals look almost alive. In contrast, the newer layers above seem rougher, less detailed, less inspired. It feels as if later generations inherited the plan, but lost the mastery. That's the complete opposite of what history usually teaches. Our textbooks describe a path of continuous advancement, better tools, smarter techniques, stronger cultures. But here, it seems the builders began at their highest point and declined from there. If that's the case, Göbekli Tepe isn't a record of a civilization on the rise. It's the fading echo of one already in decline. And if those first builders knew their knowledge was slipping away, then every stone they raised wasn't just a monument, but a desperate time capsule. And finally, there's the greatest mystery of all, Göbekli Tepe's burial. Around 8000 BCE, the entire site was intentionally buried beneath tons of soil and rubble, perfectly preserving it for thousands of years. While most scholars call it a ceremonial closure, quantum AI proposes another idea. Maybe the site was hidden deliberately, meant to protect its encrypted wisdom for a future age, possibly even for us. If that's true, then what message were they trying to send? And how much of that ancient secret has the AI already uncovered? Decoding the symbols of Göbekli Tepe. We now know that the carved pillars of Göbekli Tepe aren't just random decorations, but a carefully structured language carved in stone. Through quantum-based pattern recognition, researchers discovered that the sequence of carvings follows a deliberate and meaningful order. The scorpion, the vulture, the sun disk, and the headless man appear together in a way that tells a symbolic story of death, celestial ascent, and rebirth. It might look purely artistic at first, But it isn't. So what is it then? According to AI, it's a code. The AI compared these carvings to established iconographic systems from later civilizations, like Sumerian cylinder seals, Egyptian tomb paintings, and Neolithic Chinese jade engravings. Across thousands of miles and thousands of years, remarkable similarities emerged, not only in the individual symbols, but also in how they're arranged and what they represent. This points to the possibility that Göbekli Tepe's builders were preserving an ancient symbolic system that survived a catastrophic event long before recorded history. But here's why that idea shakes things up. It directly challenges what archaeology has long believed. The mainstream view says written communication began with the Sumerians around 3200 BCE. Yet Göbekli Tepe's carvings date to roughly 10,000 BCE. That's about 7,000 years earlier. If that's true, if these carvings actually form a proto-writing system, it could mean we're looking at the earliest known form of human script. But the surprises don't stop there. AI analysis also uncovered astonishing evidence of astronomical knowledge hidden within the carvings. The vulture and the scorpion, for instance, seem to correspond to the constellations Sagittarius and Scorpius. Their precise positioning matches the night sky of a specific prehistoric era, suggesting that Göbekli Tepe might have served not only as a sacred site, but also as a celestial observatory. Even more astonishing, the spatial arrangement of the pillars appears to encode measurements tied to quantum oscillation patterns, something we never thought a hunter-gatherer society could possibly understand. If that's correct, it hints at the survival of knowledge from an advanced culture that existed long before any known civilization. And then there's the most curious detail of all, the so-called vulture stone, officially known as Pillar 43. Among its carvings is a peculiar image that almost seems playful. 3 small rectangular shapes with half-moon handles, lined up neatly like ancient handbags on display. Unsurprisingly, they've fascinated the world. Archaeologists documented them quietly, suggesting simple explanations. Perhaps they're baskets for offerings, seed containers, or abstract depictions of temple roofs. In conventional archaeology, they're viewed as purely functional or symbolic motifs, repeated for visual balance. But beyond the academic world, they've become one of Göbekli Tepe's most puzzling mysteries. These handbag shapes aren't unique to this 12,000-year-old site. Nearly identical designs appear in ancient Mesopotamian reliefs, where gods such as Enki and Shamash are shown carrying small rectangular satchels with curved handles. Travel further, at least in your imagination, and you'll find the same symbol across the ocean, in the art of the Olmec and Maya civilizations, held by strange, sometimes feathered beings. So the big question remains, how can the same motif appear in cultures separated by oceans and millennia? The conventional explanation is coincidence. Humans everywhere make containers, and naturally, some designs look alike. But the uncanny precision of these shapes, the consistent ratio of the rectangle to its handle, and the identical way it's depicted, has led many to wonder if these images share a much older, common origin. To alternative historians like Graham Hancock, these are not baskets or bags, but a symbolic language, a shorthand for something intangible, something carried not in leather or reed, but in the mind. They might represent the container of knowledge, the portable wisdom of the culture bringers who, according to many indigenous myths, appeared after cataclysmic floods to rebuild civilization. The fact that there are 3 could be more than an artistic flourish. They may symbolize the 3 realms of ancient cosmology: heaven above, earth in the middle, and the underworld below. Others see them as markers of astronomical cycles, 3 repeating ages in the great precessional clock, or perhaps the 3 stars of Orion's belt, which seem to align with other features at Göbekli Tepe. If Göbekli Tepe's builders encoded a message for the future, as our AI model suspects, the handbags may have been their way of saying that knowledge is portable, transferable, and essential for survival. In the last great catastrophe, they buried that knowledge along with the site itself, locking away their warnings in stone. Although we cannot see what's inside, the repetition of this image across continents and millennia suggests that whatever it holds, it was considered vital. Then there's the deliberate burial of Göbekli Tepe, which adds another layer of mystery. The site was covered with soil around 8000 BCE, intentionally, not by natural processes. This could have been an act of preservation, meant to safeguard the knowledge encoded in the pillars for a distant future generation. And as it turns out, we just might be the first generation in thousands of years to have decoded this life-altering information. What's even more interesting is that the AI's findings align with a growing body of research suggesting that early human history may be more complex and more connected than previously believed. So while there's still a lot left to unpack about Göbekli Tepe, it's pretty obvious that it may not just be an archaeological site. It may be a message from a lost chapter of humanity's story. The cosmic clock. Speaking of forgotten chapters, let's dive into the AI's next and most debated finding: the idea that Göbekli Tepe's design might actually encode a record of cosmic cycles. Specifically, it may represent a 25,920-year period linked to Earth's precession. If you're not familiar with the term, precession is the slow, steady wobble in Earth's rotational axis. Imagine a spinning top that gradually shifts direction over time. This wobble causes the stars in our night sky to slowly drift in a predictable pattern, completing one grand loop roughly every 25,920 years. Astronomers understand this concept well today, but the thought that a Stone Age culture could measure such an immense cycle sounds impossible to most scholars. Yet, according to the AI's analysis, the layout of Göbekli Tepe's main enclosures seems to line up with key points along this precessional journey. The pillars appear to align with constellations as they would have risen or set thousands of years ago, not just around 9600 BCE, but at other points across the entire cycle. This implies the builders weren't only observing their own sky. They might have been recording an astronomical rhythm that stretched over tens of thousands of years. The carvings themselves seem to support this theory. The scorpion, Scorpius, the vulture, Sagittarius, and the headless man could be more than random symbols. They might form a coded map of a catastrophic event tied to a turning point in this great cycle. In other words, these images might not just be myths. They could be history carved in stone, a warning of something that happened long ago and might one day happen again. The AI even found connections between these symbols and other ancient stories describing a great year or vast cosmic cycle. Plato wrote of the perfect year when the stars return to their starting points. The Hindu yugas, the Mayan long count calendar, and the Egyptian star temples all hint at the same kind of cosmic awareness. This global echo suggests that such knowledge might be a shared legacy from an earlier, forgotten civilization. But why exactly 25,920 years? The AI's models proposed that this cycle mattered not only for charting the stars, but also for tracking Earth's natural changes. Here's the reasoning. Precession shifts the timing of Earth's seasons in relation to its orbit, and over long spans, this can trigger major climate changes, ice ages, droughts, or migrations of habitable zones. This connects directly to the Younger Dryas, a sudden and extreme climate event about 12,900 years ago, which some scientists believe was caused by a comet impact. If the people of Göbekli Tepe, or those who came before them, lived through such a disaster, they might have encoded the precessional cycle as a kind of cosmic warning system, a doomsday clock carved in stone to alert future generations when similar conditions might return. The AI's projection suggested that the last completion of this cosmic cycle occurred near the end of the last ice age, right around the time of the Younger Dryas catastrophe. If that's true, it means we could now be nearing the close of another 25,920-year cycle. But there's no need to panic yet, because mainstream archaeologists approach this idea with caution. They point out that while ancient people were remarkably skilled at watching the heavens, there's no solid proof they could have tracked precession across its entire span, since, realistically, it takes many centuries of continuous observation just to notice it. Supporters of the theory, however, argue that this knowledge might have been inherited from an older civilization that did have long-term astronomical data, preserved through oral tradition, monumental structures, or symbolic artwork. One of the strongest pieces of supporting evidence comes from Göbekli Tepe's own layout. The AI's spatial modeling revealed that the distances between certain pillars correspond to precise precessional values, multiples or fractions of that 25,920-year cycle. For instance, an angular separation between two of the main enclosures in the virtual model matched the movement of the equinox over 2,160 years, exactly 1/12 of the Great Year, and the span of a single astrological age in Western tradition. Coincidence or not, the accuracy is hard to ignore. It suggests that Göbekli Tepe's builders weren't merely arranging stones at random. They may have been constructing a calendar designed to measure time on a cosmic scale. Achieving something like that would have required not only sharp astronomical observation, but also a grasp of complex mathematics. If this interpretation holds true, Göbekli Tepe becomes far more than a temple or ritual site. It transforms into a massive stone-built mechanism, blending spirituality with science. The gatherings that took place there could have been part of a grander mission, safeguarding and transmitting knowledge of the heavens. Still, critics urge caution, warning against seeing patterns where none exist, a cognitive bias known as apophenia. Without written texts, any symbolic reading remains speculative. Yet, the AI's analysis fits neatly with a growing body of evidence that ancient cultures may have been far more advanced in science and observation than we've long assumed. Sites such as Nabta Playa in Egypt and the megalithic temples of Malta also display potential precessional alignments, hinting at a broader prehistoric tradition of sky-based knowledge. What do you think about all this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your take. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss our latest uploads.